offshore drilling. I think this
Yep.
one's really interesting. We've there's been a lot of kind of chatter. I guess just some backstory for folks here. Where Matt and I are in the Pacific Northwest. Generally a pretty blue, staunchly blue area. There was some chatter a while back about opening up some drilling in national parks, things like that, and that had a lot of pushback in this area. So I can only imagine what's going to go on once this kind of actually all kicks off. But yeah, maybe Matt, can you explain, what's the impetus for trying to open up all this offshore drilling now?
Yep. So this is really your telegraphing of where the energy markets are likely going to evolve in the quarters to years ahead. I think like you got energy markets where they are right now. I'll talk about in a second, but this is telegraphing where the puck is going to be. In an energy market, you've got oil like WTI, oil futures contract, basically pricing at like $58 a barrel, relatively low. These are some of the lowest prices. We've been in a downtrend since that 2022 um, oil prices, blow off top and peak into the Ukrainian, war escalation starting in February of that year, topping in June. Ever since then, it's been, kind of energy markets have been in a downturn. When I say energy, I mean petroleum products, oil, nat gas, etc. Also, U.S., since developing, shale technology, since the GFC, the U.S. has become a large, actually, exporter of oil and gas products. So used to be the case from basically, the 1970s up until early 2010s. US was import dependent for its energy needs. Technologies have a way of solving problems, and the US got really good at basically productivity enabling technologies that allowed them to produce oil and gas from shale resources that were previously um, uneconomic, right? So with that advance, U.S. is basically sitting on more energy supply than its domestic market consumes. We're a net exporter, and we're also looking at a low oil and energy commodities products market in terms of price levels. But why would this make any sense? I think you got to broaden your picture here to the geopolitical arena. U.S. is going to continue to be a net exporter of oil and gas, just presumably. I mean, there's a lot of discussion about shale demand rolling or shale production rolling over in the U.S. New wells probably doesn't make sense to develop at current pricing market pricing for the output commodities, and then also current interest rate environment to finance these products or projects. So it doesn't quite make economic sense for the long term to see the same shale boom we saw in the 2010s. But you're looking at a market that right now is in excess supply. But in the future, if you expect that supply imbalance in the market to contract, as well as the external or global energy markets to face that same supply demand imbalance in the years to longer type of time horizon in the future from where we are now. I think that's where this Trump expansion of offshore coastal drilling starts to click into place. And if you look at what's going on with the Russian export situation, you've seen a ramp up in pressures in the last week in headlines between the U.S. and EU pushing for more, stronger, um, and better enforced sanctions on Russian energy exports. They're not working at all. So if you see, this is a tweet from Anas Al-Haji. If you're not aware of him, follow him because he's one of the best independent experts on just understanding the oil and gas markets globally. So hugely valuable follower and provider of commentary and information in this space. But you look at the tanker situation here, and he's been posting this for, weeks, if not months. The the sanctions are against Russian oil are just not effective. Like they're getting their oil onto the global market. The European countries have no ability to actually police this on the high seas. If you've listened to us in the past, we talk about how important like your navy is to actually owning international trade. Right at the end of the day, that's where all finance and economics comes down to. It's, do you own the ports? Do you have markets to distribute your goods into? Can you get your ships there, your merchant ships, to both export your goods into a given market, and then can your ships import back what your own local economy needs, and then gain through trade. And then fundamental to all that, you've got to have the Navy to actually police your ships. There's a good quote, I didn't post it here, but there's one from Napoleon in like 1810, and basically he gets down to like why the French didn't win that Napoleonic War, right? And it was going to be an L from the get-go. And the quote was basically like, everywhere we looked on the high seas for one of our ships, we saw three British naval vessels, or three merchant marine, like convoys, and you can't get there. You can't win this game of international trade. So I bring that here. You look at this. You look at the map. You see the tankers coming out of Russia. They're going. I mean, there's two routes. They go, uh, down through towards the Iberian Peninsula, through the English Channel, and then they go through the Mediterranean, the Suez Canal, into India and Southeast Asia. That's happening. And then there's another northern route they can go around. You mainly drop off into China, other South Asian countries from that direction. But there is no ability to police the high seas anymore by the European navies. It also means the Americans aren't doing it either. So it comes down to a quote from Sir Walter Raleigh. I think that captures this insight. I tweeted it here, but it's, whoever commands the seas commands the trade. Whoever commands the trade of the world commands the riches of the world, and consequently the world itself. That's your unipolar moment, right? If you have the naval strength, um, that's what enables your strength of the financial system. It's very clear that whoever is running the world right now, the U.S. doesn't have that unipolar command any longer, but it's for darn sure not the Europeans, right? They're coming right through the English Channel, and there's nothing
I'd say everything through there,
that,
right? You'd expect that to be easily, in quotes, controllable by Europeans, but it's just not happening.
yeah, and you've got key bottlenecks, the English Channel, Strait of Gibraltar. Like there's no defense here. So this just goes into like the bearishness on Europe. This is why they were, they went through their I guess just epoch of strength, like 5 centuries from 1492 to 2000, or give or take. It was all built on naval strength and supremacy, and that's gone. So that really tells you where everything's headed, in my opinion. So that's and then given that environment, right? You, if you're Europe, you have no control or access to energy resources. And if the U.S. is going to be friends, win over a new coalition, partners of choice is the term you'll hear often. You'll see this in statements from ambassadors, all of these publications, embassies, etc. The energy exports are a key strategic interest from, just having those commodities available to win over allies and build up a new 21st century coalition as the 20th centuries decay and crumble
Right.
as literally as we speak.
I think it's really the energy piece too is so interesting to me. Kind of reading through most of the European countries, Germany was one of them, right? Trying to actually shut down the nuclear reactors. We talked about the Nord, I believe it was the Nord Stream, no, Power Siberia 2 pipeline.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same deal, right? You've got all of these energy sources that used to go into Europe or used to be within Europe, and now you're seeing it either getting torn down, literally torn down, or redirected. So it's just continued kind of energy dependence from the European side. So it makes a lot more sense now why the U.S. would want to build up its own independence from that perspective.